John, we're talking about a time before the rise of the Google phone when Android was popular, but it was the iPhone really that controlled the market. What does this tell us then about the threat from monopolies like Apple and the very real dangers of corporate malpractice?
Um, well, we're in a world where a very small number of tech companies that collude and collaborate with one another are making all the big decisions. And so these companies are very, very powerful. And the enforcement actions, like this 130 some odd $1 million fine that Apple's going to pay, it's not going to have any effect. Apple's a $270 billion a year company. It's a drop in the bucket.
I was just going to say the fact that it seems like such a small settlement. I mean, you have the $500 million class action lawsuit on top of that, but this is yet another example, as you mentioned, of big tech and how powerful they've become. I mean, other than a financial ding that they've taken over this here, what needs to be a deterrent for these companies? I mean, I remember even I was one of those users that had their iPhone slowed down in all of this.
Well, yeah, and in this particular case, it's a little bit confusing because obviously, as technology advances, the older phones are going to slow down, and Apple. There's a lot of legitimate reasons that Apple might want to change the software. Um, I'm not really sure if it's going to provide much guidance going forward, but it certainly is a method for state governments to fill their treasuries, and so you're going to see a lot of lawsuits against the big tech companies by states that are looking to shake down the companies.
Yeah. There have been a lot of congressional inquiries about what big tech has been doing. Is there anything that needs to be implemented at the federal level to prevent this sort of thing? Is there anything that can be done?
Well, ultimately, I think it's futile and it's not going to work to have Congress try to micromanage the tech companies. Better would be to have government policy that encourages competition and encourages emerging companies to come up and actually challenge the incumbents. Now, whether that'll happen, so many of the politicians are on the payroll of these big companies, and so you could be a little bit cynical about that.
Yeah, and we've all become heavily dependent on these smartphones. John Snyder in New York, thanks for being with us.